Thornton from heisreal.com, and today I want to talk to you about the power of becoming your audience. Now, we're talking a little more in our writing series about, just some tips and some ideas to be able to really hone in your craft. So, when I was in writing school, there were several different books and things that we had taken from, and I had taken down some notes. And when every time I go back into writing, I always consider a lot of these answers and things and opportunities. So I wanted to be able to share this with you. Well, let's talk about, I have a few tips and just questions, so you got an idea, right? And okay, I'm going to use this. This was a really good example. I also have this for another blog, but I feel like this particular example kind of hits the point. There was such a time in my life just before I had my first child, and there was a lady that was at a park. The woman, she was probably a young girl. She was a little bit younger than me at the time, but obviously still is. And she was with her son, and he was probably about, I don't know, maybe 3, and 3-year-olds running all over the place and stuff, and she just was having, this mom, you could just see the delight on her face, and just, I don't know, just kind of oozed out of her. Well, as I was sitting there, this is just before we were thinking about having kids, and I was like, I just remember, praying to God. I was like, you know what, I just have this desire to have a son, and I have 2 now, yay, but I was just like, just something about little boys just made me really happy. Well, just picturing that moment, I wrote it down. We're going to talk a little bit about, personal and reading journals in the later series. But I remember writing that down. Now, that experience happened. Not only did I write down my feelings and thoughts and views and some things that were happening there, but here's where your idea, this is creative people, yay. Everybody say yay, we're creative. What I did was I thought of many different opportunities to really share that message of that same delight that I felt. Number 1, I could write a book for first-time moms about, feeling the sense of delight with their child, maybe even especially a little boy, being really, really specific. So who my target audience would be first-time moms. Then I thought about turning that story into a children's book for a child experiencing the love of what their mother really feels towards them. So that's my number 2 situation that I could do. I could turn it into a short film. I could turn it into a skit. I could turn it into anything. But the important thing is I have to know who my audience is. When I do, then I will know how to turn that idea into something marketable or just to get my message out, you don't even have to make money on it, just anything that you feel led in your spirit and in your heart to do. So I have a few questions to help discover your idea and clarifying it for your audience, right? So we talked about evidence in our last blog and what that was. And right now we're going to look carefully at the evidence and begin writing about whatever notion strikes you as interesting. Well, for me, that particular subject was the woman with her child. And just the delight she felt gave me such a sense of delight, and I was just really excited for her. So I have that. Number 2, open your mind to new ideas and push them into your writing. Now, again, if depending upon my audience, I need to take that one idea and I'm going to have to put it cohesively into a story for my target audience. Obviously I'm going to, for the first-time moms, I guess it could be for any mom, but it would really be the first-time mom because it was just, you could tell it was a first-time mom delight. and it would just be something comfortable, I think, for a woman to be able to read. And, just kind of give that idea. And then the second one would be the children's book. So then I would have to be able to write that on a level for a child to understand the love that a mother really feels, that first time joy and excitement. Of course, every time we have a child, it's always that joy and excitement. But I'm just saying that would, be something that the child would be able to read and know that the parent, the mother, just has this great delight for him or her. So let's see. Stop and consider what you have written. Look at what your writing reveals to you about the evidence. Okay. Again, so you're trying to make it cohesive for your audience. And obviously I'm not going to target, this particular story to a bunch of teenagers. We don't want them having children. No, we don't. We want the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings to be experiencing this opportunity. So I have to know exactly who my audience is. Then I'm going to take it. Of course, I'm going to write a second draft. It's never right until you've drafted, revised, and drafted again. I know it takes the fun out of it, but you have to have a polished piece. You'll be happier when you do, believe me. Okay. All right. So make connections. If the new idea reminds you of other things you know or have read, write about those connections. Yay! See what they reveal as you write and think about them. Was there something else? Was there a place that you were? Maybe you even know another story, maybe a friend told you, or your own mother, shared with you. Be able to make those connections, because you want to be able to take that idea and convey it to your audience, depending upon your target, first-time mom, children's book, right? And be able to convey that message, your evidence, that is really, really obvious to whoever you're sharing it with. So we need to know thoughts and feelings and the why, when, where, who, how, who, why. Did I say that? Yeah. All the adjectives in there to be able to understand just where you're going with the story. So those connections are key. Emotions that evoked you and maybe evoked the other person. It's just really, really great. So let's talk about question in your draft. So put yourself in the position of your audience. If it's first-time moms, obviously if you're male, it may not be something that you feel comfortable exploring, but I say you have a passion for it. Go talk to me. I guarantee in your church, in your family, in your workplace, and wherever you are, in your school, go talk to some first-time moms. They will be happy to share that with you. It's just something, just moms in general. They'll be happy to share their loving experience, and maybe they're not so loving experiences, but you got to know everything, right? Okay, position for your audience. So now ask about the relationship between the evolving idea and the evidence. So you've got all of this leverage and opportunity in this situation, and thoughts and feelings, and what happens, and how are you going to convey that to who your target audience is? Your mom, your kids, right? Okay. And is the relationship clear to my audience? Is the relationship between the mother, what the mother feels for the child, the mother and child, that bond, is it in the bond between the child and the mother? Is it obvious to them as they're reading? Are they feeling it coming through in the story? Do they understand what you as a writer are trying to say, or is it just kind of informational and it puts them to sleep? No, you want to take them, you want to show them what that's like. And we do that with words. We paint that picture with words. Okay. Are your intentions clear? Is it clear what you're trying to convey? Did you want them to be touched in some way? You know, some people are criers, some people aren't. But did you want them to be touched, or did you want to bore them? You know, it all just depends on how you choose to convey your message to your audience. Are there aspects of the idea that you need to clarify? So let's say that you really have a good, you know, you've got the great intentions, but it still doesn't, it's kind of missing something, you know? It's like, oh, that's good, yeah. You know, and then maybe they'll never think of it again, or is it that, wow, you know, that just really touched me. And that's what you want. You want that wow factor. You want it to touch them so they'll never forget. So, all right, so what else can I, well, I guess the question is, what else can you learn from all of this? You know, for me in writing, and I'll just give my personal experience. For me in writing, it's always been a way for me to just express myself. Now, obviously, if you're sitting here watching me, I'm a very passionate person. And I say that and I kind of laugh because it is really true. Everything I do is kind of over the top, so I don't know. But, and God just put that gift in me, and I have just learned to love it over the years. But, you know, in writing, you know, especially not being, you know, very seasoned at it, sometimes you even, and I love fiction. I love fiction. So if I'm going to tell you a story, you know, if I'm going to write a story, it's going to be in fiction. But, and of course the story I just told you was nonfiction, but it's still a really great idea. So, you know, it's obvious to me that everything that I do, you know, I want everyone to understand. I want to connect. Just like I'm doing with you guys. I want to connect. So I'm going to quit right now, and we'll go on later on in our series. But I hope this helps you guys. Please leave your questions and comments and concerns below. You can email me at kim@heisreal.com or go to my blog, heisreal.com, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.